From stories across the world to stories here at home, this is the National News Broadcast. A very good evening to you. I'm Nitya De Oliveira.
Good evening. I'm Clifford Richards. First of all, we take a look at the headlines.
The President reiterates that opposition to the decisions taken in the interest of the country means causing severe injustice to the future generation. The percentage of those above the age of 30 years in the Western Province who have received at least one dose of the COVID vaccine increases to 77. Those who are unable to leave their homes are being given the COVID vaccine in their residences. A corona patient has been identified in the Tokyo Olympic Village. Minister Basil Rajapaksa is ready to grant relief to the people through proper economic management. The Minister of Power says there is no threat of an oil shortage.
Moving on to the stories in detail, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that opposing without any basis on policy decisions taken in the interest of the future of the country is a great injustice perpetrated on the future generation. The President made these remarks enlightening the Mahasangha on the government's program on inoculation on COVID eradication and also the Kotalawala Defence University Act. Well, the Buddhist Advisory Council has met for the 11th occasion at the President's office last afternoon. The President has expressed optimism on the ability to inoculate all persons above the age of 30 years with both vaccine doses before the end of the month of August. Vaccination process in the Kandy districts is scheduled to be completed before the Dalada pageant. The President has also pointed out that the World Health Organization has also commended Sri Lanka's vaccination program. He added that Sri Lanka has come into the forefront in the inoculation program, surpassing all other countries in South Asia. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has further stated that the aim of the Kotalawala University Act is to eliminate all obstacles in the University Grants Commission Act in order to include the Kotalawala Defence University under the University Grants Commission. The President said that nothing new is being carried out. What is expected to be done is to incorporate old laws into the new bill. There's not a single draft bill on the structure of the university. It is also anticipated to include the structure in the new act. The President has further said that one of the main arguments of those who oppose the act is that it does not come under the University Grants Commission. Even if the Defence Ministry wants to bring this university under the Grants Commission, the University Grants Commission will be amended to make the necessary changes. The President has also recalled the problems related to the Pali and Buddhist University. He added that even the Nurses Training Institute will be incorporated into the University Act. The President has also disclosed on the plans to set up a university amalgamating the tea research and other research institutions. The President further stated that his opinion is that all universities should be incorporated under the jurisdiction of the University Grants Commission.
සංශෝධනය කරාම අපි මේ සෑම විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයක්ම ප්‍රතිපාදන කොමිෂන් සභාවේ අධීක්ෂණය යටතට පත් කරනවා.
The Kotalawala Defence University has produced a large number of intellectuals needed for the country in the past 40 years. He also told the Mahasangha that even students who qualify with higher grades in the advanced level examination choose the Kotalawala University for their higher education. The President has also pointed out the need to create many more such universities of higher standards in the country in order to save large amounts of foreign exchange as a result of children living abroad for higher education. The President said that Sir John Kotalawala University has been instituted under the University Act of 1981. It was established according to the methodologies prevailing in other countries. Former Army Commander General Dennis Pereira was instrumental in establishing this institution. Sir John Kotalawala Defence University Institute Amendment Bill of number 24 of 1988 has paved the way for the creation of the Sir John Kotalawala Defence Training Institute. Thereafter, in 2007, during the regime of the then President Mahinda Rajapaksa, the institute was named Sir John Kotalawala Defence University through the Sir John Kotalawala State Defence Training Institute Amendment Bill. The subject engineering was taught since the beginning of the university. Later on, medicine was introduced. He added that both the GMO and the Medical Association got together to set up the new institution. But he said that Professor Carlo Fonseca was against teaching medical science at the Kotalawala Defence University. His basic objection was that children and relatives of army officers in higher ranks would be given undue privileges in the recruitment of students to the university. The president has stressed that such favoritism is not being entertained. Students are being enrolled to state universities according to the Z-score value. Those who are not eligible for services in the three armed forces will be separated. The objective is to maintain the examinations according to the status of other universities. The first, second and third student intakes have recorded the highest Z-score marks. They were the students who were selected for medical faculties for Colombo and Peradeniya universities. The president further said that the present Secretary of Education is a second batch student of the Kotalawala University. The Mahasangha on this occasion have responded saying that the general public should be educated and misconceptions being propagated regarding the Kotalawala University. Measures should also be taken to prevent the propagation of false information in this regard. The Mahasangha has appreciated the government's program to control the corona pandemic since its inception. President Chief Advisor Lalit Veeratunga, Ministry Secretaries and government officials also attended the meeting.
Up to now, 7,051,114 doses of the COVID-19 vaccination have been given to the general public. The vaccination program is being conducted continuously throughout the island. 221,753 were given the first dose of the Sinopharm vaccine yesterday. The second dose of the same vaccine has been given to 16,336. 6,617 persons have been inoculated with the Pfizer vaccine yesterday. In the last 7 days, 1,765,175 doses of vaccine have been given to the people. The number of vaccines given yesterday amounted to 244,706. According to reports released yesterday, the percentage of those over 30 years had received at least one dose of any vaccine was 46.99%. The highest number of vaccinated persons were reported from the Western Province. In the province, the percentage of those who received at least one dose of the vaccine was at 77.28%. In the Colombo district, the percentage was at 80.17%, Gampar district 75.62% and the Kalutara district 74.83%. The Health Division further say that those who have received at least one dose in the Mana district was at 71.69% and the Matale district 55.74%. State Minister Professor Channa Jayasumana says that the consignment of the Moderna vaccine received as a donation from the United States yesterday will be given to people above 30 years in the Kandy district from tomorrow. It has also been planned to administer the AstraZeneca vaccine to persons above 30 in the Kergal district and to deliver the Pfizer vaccine to people in the Mana and Vaunia districts. It has also been decided to administer the Sinopharm vaccine to people in other districts. Minister Dr. Kehelia Rambukwala presided over the Central Province COVID-19 Committee meeting at the office of the Provincial Governor today. According to the instructions given by the President at the COVID-19 Control Special Committee meeting, a mobile service commenced today to inoculate those who are unable to leave their homes. One such program was conducted in the Piliandala Medical Officer of Health Division. The Sinopharm vaccine was administered to residents in Tangao Medical Officer of Health Division who were unable to leave their homes. Mr. Namal Rajapaksha inspected the program. COVID-19 immunization vaccines were administered to workers connected to the tourism sector in Alla Bandarawala today. The program has come under the inspections of Ministers Prasanna Ranatunga, Namal Rajapaksha and State Minister Tenuka Vidana Gamage. 980 COVID-19 patients were detected in the country today. Meanwhile, 962 patients left hospitals today following recovery. Director General of Health Services said that 31 COVID-19 deaths were reported yesterday. Registrar of the Askiri chapter, Venerable Dr. Madagama Dhamma Nandathera requests the Mahasangha to perform the Vinaya Karma pertaining to the Vas season on bhikkhus of the forthcoming Asala Full Moon Day according to the health guidelines. Police say that 207 persons were arrested on charges of violating health guidelines during the 24 hours that ended at 6 a.m. today. 50,391 have been taken into custody in connection with the offence.
Well, police media spokesman, Senior DIG Ajit Rohana has made a clarification on this occasion on violations of quarantine laws by the general public during the periods of travel restrictions. He has also elaborated on the inspections carried out by the security forces at roadblocks during periods of travel restrictions.
Arrested 207 suspects in connection with the offences of quarantine rules and regulations, face mask and social distancing for a period of last 24 hours. Total number of 50,391 suspects have been arrested in connection with the same offences from the 30th of October 2022 date. In addition to that, we have implemented 13 roadblocks at the entry and exit points of Western Province, and yesterday 5,108 persons have been checked by the officers of the roadblocks. In addition to that, 96 persons have been sent back to their original locations along with 51 vehicles as they were trying to cross the provincial border by violating the provincial restriction order. According to the latest health guideline, the provincial restriction order remains as it is, so therefore general public is not allowed to cross provincial borders. However, due to special circumstances, especially to attend funerals of their close relatives, or for medical treatments, general public is allowed to cross borders. Otherwise, the employees of essential services are allowed to cross borders to perform their day-to-day duties. It has been observed by the police officers who were deployed in Mafti in Colombo and suburbs areas, and according to their observation, some persons had been moving on roads without face mask, or otherwise they did not wear their face mask properly. Therefore, we are intending to deploy special police teams in order to apprehend the persons who violate the face mask law in terms of the provisions of the Gazette notification that has been published on the 15th of March 2021 and the provisions of the Quarantine and Prevention of Diseases Ordinance and the section 264 of the Penal Code. If a person is found in a public place without a face mask, it is an offence. It is a cognizable offence and the police can arrest that particular person without a warrant. If a person is guilty of the charges under the quarantine rules and regulation for the offence of face mask, the court can fine 10,000 rupees or 6 months rigorous imprisonment or both punishments.
Now, in the meantime, taking a look at the COVID-19 situation abroad, a person has tested positive for COVID-19 at the Tokyo Olympics Athletes Village. Organizers said today the first such case that adds to concerns about infections at the Games, which begin next week.
Tokyo Olympics organizers reported the first case of COVID-19 at the Athletes Village on Saturday, further stoking fears of a super spreader event. The organizers confirmed that a visitor from abroad who was involved in organizing the Games had tested positive during a routine test on Friday. The person's nationality was not revealed due to privacy concerns. It's the first case found in the Athletes Village, where a majority of the 11,000 competitors will be staying. So far, more than 40 people involved in the Games, including both domestic and foreign nationals, have tested positive. A COVID-19 cluster was also found at an Olympic hotel earlier this week. This year's Games are being held mostly without spectators under tight quarantine rules. A new Ipsos poll this week showed 78% of Japanese asked don't want the Games to go ahead. As new coronavirus infections surge, the medical system is strained, and only around 20% of the population is fully vaccinated. Tokyo 2020 President Seiko Hashimoto acknowledged the public's concern on Saturday, but reiterated the Games would be, quote, safe and secure. Athletes are just starting to arrive for the Games, set to kick off next week. There will be daily saliva testing for the athletes and others involved in the event, while visitors' movements are expected to be monitored and restricted. But in a sign that those rules may be difficult to enforce, a Ugandan weightlifter went missing from his team's training site in Osaka on Friday.
Well, leaders of the Asia-Pacific Trade Group, APEC, including U.S. President Joe Biden, Russia's Vladimir Putin and China's Xi Jinping, pledged on Friday to work to expand the sharing manufacturing of COVID-19 vaccines to fight the global pandemic.
Leaders of the Asia-Pacific Trade Group, APEC, pledged to work together Friday to double down on the COVID-19 pandemic, while tensions between the U.S. and China came to the forefront. Meeting virtually, the APEC leaders said they would seek to expand manufacturing and sharing of vaccines across the region as it continues to see flare-ups of the health crisis. Last month, APEC trade ministers agreed to review trade barriers and expedite the cross-border transit of COVID-19 vaccines and related goods. But they stopped short of a broad commitment to remove tariffs, which host country New Zealand has pushed for. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern reiterated those concerns on Friday.
It may surprise you to know that vaccines can in some cases face tariffs of 6%. Vials and packaging, 20% in some cases. Syringes face tariffs. So it is a very real problem that APEC economies have the ability to remove.
Chinese leader Xi Jinping was not in attendance and delivered pre-recorded remarks at the meeting, where he said he supported waiving intellectual property rights on COVID vaccines and pledged over 500 million doses to developing countries. Meanwhile, the White House said U.S. President Joe Biden re-emphasized the importance of a free and open Indo-Pacific at Friday's meeting. The U.S. and China have had little high-level face-to-face contact under the Biden administration since senior officials met in Alaska back in March. Just as Friday's meeting concluded, Washington slapped new sanctions on 7 Chinese officials in its latest effort to hold Beijing accountable for its crackdown on Hong Kong.
And with that, we come back to local stories. Minister Basil Rajapaksa says that steps will be taken to grant relief to the masses through a proper economic management. He adds that government has also given priority to embark on measures needed to open the country. Minister Basil Rajapaksa has made these remarks at a meeting with heads of local government institutions at Temple Trees today. The meeting was focused in-depth attention on development activities in local government institutions and problems arisen in the implementation of development activities. Heads of local government institutions have also enlightened the minister on the problems faced by them. The minister has further stated that party responsibilities will be unfailingly fulfilled while carrying forward the duties in the portfolio of the Minister of Finance. The minister said that Green Sri Lanka program will be implemented. It is an investment on the future generation. It was approved by the President and the Cabinet of Ministers based on 27 facts. One of the facts was the problem related to fertilizer. Misuse of fertilizer has caused many hazards, including kidney disease. The minister has inquired as to how many persons remain hungry due to their inability to purchase even a kilo of rice. So many remain hungry day by day. These were the people who voted the government into power. The minister has recalled that during the regime of Mahinda Rajapaksa, everybody was provided with electricity. He further said that the first of all in priorities are the prices of essential commodities, and these should be reduced. Ministers Janaka Bandara Tendukon, Pavitra Vanyarachi, Johnston Fernando, Rohita Begunawardena and State Ministers Nimal Lansa and Roshan Ranasinghe participated.
Now, in the meantime, Minister Udayagama says that there is no truth whatsoever in the reports published recent regarding turning back of a vessel which brought fuel supplies to Sri Lanka due to not being able to pay appropriately. He made these remarks at a media briefing held in the Ministry of Power today. Minister Udayagama said that it was the websites that have published reports regarding returning of foreign vessels for failing to pay back to the suppliers. Thereafter, several politicians in the opposition had propagated the same lie over media. These critics had failed to divulge any information pertaining to names of the country of origin of such ships. The opposition media have also fabricated false stories of an impending fuel shortage. They have advised the general public to fill up their stocks in cans and barrels. The minister has reiterated that the country has petrol and diesel stocks sufficient for 27 days. In addition, the filling station fuel stocks would last at least 3 to 4 days.
Minister Dr. Keheli Rabukwela has expressed regret over the distortion of a statement made by him at a media briefing in conveying cabinet decisions recently. The minister was addressing a media briefing in Kandy today. Minister Dr. Keheli Rabukwela said that primary level decisions have been taken on the KDU Act without appropriately studying the bill. It is extremely disparaging to note a group regarded by 4.3 million children of the country as their godly teachers behaving in such a reckless manner. The minister added that he is extremely sorry to brand these persons as a wretched group. The minister said that he accusers have nicely edited their stories. They have chopped the important sections and added new sentences. They were masters of deception. These groups hope to direct the entire teacher population in the country in the wrong direction. They have made ransom 4.3 million children in the country. The intelligent people must decide whether their actions are justified or not.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa joined the Global Cultural Scout Jamboree being conducted in Sri Lanka over virtual technology. More than 20,000 scouts in 100 countries are participating in the event organized through virtual technology as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Sri Lanka's Chief Scout President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has presided over the inauguration of the Global Cultural Scout Jamboree at the President's office last evening. The event, which signifies inherent cultural values of respective countries, is scheduled to be conducted until the 18th of this month. President of the World Scout Committee, Craig Tepe, was also the special invitee at this occasion. Global leaders, including heads of World Scouts Association and Scout commissioners in many countries, have also attended. The theme of the current Jamboree is One World of Scouts under a single cultural setup. Many novel programs of cultural importance have been produced on behalf of Scouts who are being restricted to their residences due to the COVID-19 situation.
We also have in our attendance His Excellency Gotabaya Rajapaksa, President of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, and the Chief Scout of the Sri Lanka Scout Association.
I'm happy to learn that this event is one of the first of its kind. In context, this initiative symbolizes the great value of the simple but deeply profound motto of the Scout movement, be prepared. The challenges that the future will bring may be more difficult to overcome than those of the past. In addition to today's problems such as conflicts and the pandemic, issues such as the loss of biodiversity, environmental degradation, food security, access to water, and climate change are challenges that will need to be overcome in the future. The World Organization of the Scout Movement and similar entities must equip young people with the skills that they need to face these future challenges with confidence. They must encourage the youth to think globally and prepare them to take global action on these issues.
Well, the State Minister of Organic Fertilizer Promotion, Shashindra Rajapaksa, says that fertilizer stocks in depots will be confiscated if those responsible fail to release the stocks to the farmers by next Monday. Well, he further says that the program to provide in upgraded varieties of compost fertilizer to the farmers will be speeded up. State Minister Shashindra Rajapaksa has made these remarks on the occasion of the opening of a facility center for tractor drivers engaged in transportation of cane at the Palwatta Sugar Factory. The ceremony was attended by State Minister Janaka Wakkumbara, Vijita Berugoda and Parliamentarian Kumarasiri Ratnayaka. High-ranking officials of the Palwatta Sugar Factory were also present.
Now, the Dehiyovita new Samurdhi Bank building, built at a cost of 14 million rupees, was declared open yesterday. The Kataragama Provincial Governor Tikiriko Bakadu and State Minister Shehan Semasinghe and Kanaka Herath have also attended the event. Compensation was granted to farmers in Haliali yesterday whose crops were damaged due to a lack of water supply as a result of the implementation of the Umaoya multi-purpose project. Our correspondent says a sum of 8 million rupees was distributed among 174 affected farmer families. Minister Vimal Veeravansa says measures will be taken to export graphite-related products in all sections in the Kataragama mine complex through efficiency. He made these remarks to media after engaging in an inspection tour at the Kataragama graphite mine complex in Kurunegala. Planting of tea saplings as an interim crop in an extent of 425 hectares of coconut cultivations in the Kataragama district commenced yesterday. A new variety of tea plants were planted in Nathambura in Rambukkana. Minister of Wildlife and Wildlife Conservation C.B. Ratnaik engaged in a sudden inspection tour at the Mineria National Wildlife Park. He instructed wildlife officials to take immediate measures to fulfill the relevant shortcomings. Community Police Unit in charge officials in 200 public defence committees appointed in 77 Grama Nilidhari divisions in the Colombo district are scheduled to commence their duties.
Well, the 8th Perahara of the Kataragama Asala festival is now parading the streets. The 7th Perahara has paraded the streets last night. The Kataragama Asala pageant commenced at the auspicious time of 6:30 p.m. The Perahara reached the Valyamma Devalaya via the outer street and fulfilled historic rituals. Thereafter, it made a return journey across the center street to the Mahadevalaya. Later on, the 7th Perahara came to a conclusion. The urn of the Perahara was carried on the back of the tusker elephant Kataragama Vasana Hastya. The Perahara was enriched with upcountry, low-country and also Sabarigama dancing and inherent dramatic styles of the Kataragama festival. And on that note, it's time to end the news. Do enjoy the rest of the programs. Take care and good night.
Good night.